Hi there, I'm Katy Rose and welcome to the Rooted Reinvention, a podcast exploring the real-world journey of reinventing who we are without burning out or burning our whole life down. I teach people how to make lasting change by melding my Masters of Neuroscience and my Cognitive Therapy qualification with common self-help tools, spiritual concepts, and my personal experience. Because being yourself doesn't need to feel so damn hard. To get more information on podcast episodes, please visit rootedreinvention.com/podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever you're listening to this. That's about as far as I get. I can't believe we're at the end of March. We are already a quarter of the way through 2021. And I really don't know how I feel about it. In today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about comfort zones. And in my head, this automatically means a lot of places are starting to ease lockdown rules. We're going to have to learn to be social creatures again. Children who have spent a third of their life in lockdown are going to have to kind of figure out how this all works, on top of the usual things they would have to learn at their age. But the main thing is that I think with anything that we do at any point, like moving out of our comfort zone is how we grow. Like, technically taking a step out of your comfort zone is expanding the comfort zone, because as we spend more time outside of it, it becomes more comfortable for us. That's how we grow. That's how, doing one thing that scares you every day, that kind of idea comes from. I'm not saying you should necessarily take that advice quite so literally, but the idea of actually, if something is a little bit uncomfortable for you, if it feels like a bit of a push on that comfort, that is how we grow, Thinking about like a child moving from crawling to standing to walking to running, like thinking about that process, they keep trying, they fall over, they might break a bone, they might skim a knee, they're definitely there are risks, there is unknown, there is uncertainty. They are technically trying to do something that, certainly at the beginning, their body is not, like their muscles are not trained to do, they can't do it. When a child first tries to stand, first starts to walk, their body is not conditioned to be able to 100% do that yet. It's through the trying, the pushing of that comfort zone, the pushing against what they normally do, and just that little bit extra. That's how we grow that muscle. And this is something that I think about regularly, even on a mental level, because certainly my experience in the Western world is that we were taught that we're powerless and that we won't be safe in that unknown. There's that kind of expectation that, well, this is safe, we know this is okay. It's also in our DNA that, we know this is okay, we know this is safe, so why deviate? Why risk doing something? Thinking back to sort of caveman times, actually, why risk going to that new place where we might end up getting hurt or injured or getting lost when we know this area? But we as humans have this natural push to kind of level up our life, to grow, to expand, to explore, to understand. And obviously sometimes life pushes us out, if you've been foraging the same area for a year and it's been working out, but now there's no berries there and there's no wildlife, you have to go to that next field that you've never been to, that's unknown, that there might be a tiger in. I'm messing up this metaphor, but hopefully it makes sense as a concept. How everything has progressed in humanity is through pushing that comfort zone, just taking that step. You don't have to climb Everest to push your limits. You can talk to that stranger in the line at the coffee shop. It's the same muscle that you're working on, honest. This is something that I work with in my coaching and in some of my workbooks and things, is that idea of, well, here's where you are now, there's where you want to be, let's look at that next small step. It's gonna feel uncomfortable, it's gonna feel weird, it's gonna feel not right to you. You're gonna have a bit of pushback from the world going, oh, what if it's this? What if it's not safe? What if something goes wrong? It's new. What if you fail at this? Like, whatever the decision is, whatever that event or that chance or that opportunity, there's gonna be risk for it. And I feel like the last sort of year or so, there's been this very clear back and forth nature around kind of how we are feeling in ourselves as a species, that some days feel okay, some days don't. And I think it's just highlighted something that's already there. Like, we as humans are allowed to have feelings. We're allowed to have mixed feelings. We're allowed to have multiple feelings about everything at any time. One of the things that most humans are capable of is of holding two opposing beliefs at the same time. So this is called cognitive dissonance, and the example that is most commonly used is people who smoke. They know that it's bad for them and yet they still do it, and there's a load of stuff around that. I'm not going to go into that too detailed, but that concept, we all have that concept where we think, well, I don't agree with X, and yet we might find ourselves acting to support it or not to actively oppose it in our lives. And there are many reasons for that. There are multiple intricacies to it, but we are able to hold these sort of conflicting views at the same time and believe both. And yet when we have our feelings, society has told us we should strive to be happy all the time, that we should get over grief in a certain amount of time, that we have no reason to feel sad, then we shouldn't feel sad. So I've been thinking about those times when I've been sort of fired up. Sometimes it's that contented kind of sense of progress, that stability in who I am and what I'm here to do. It's that kind of spark of kind of insight and inspiration. I'm being creative, just a sense of conviction, really. But at other times, it's furious frustration at the injustice of a situation and those who do, in my opinion, who don't do enough to help it. And no matter what the trigger, the cause, what the contributing factors are, I just want to remind everyone at this time and any time that we can hold multiple feelings about things at the same time. I can be angry at someone and love them at the same time. I can be furious about a particular event and still act in a civil way and have some logic around it. I can be frustrated with the lockdown side of things, but also recognise that on some days I'm really grateful to not have to commute. You know, we are not singular, one experience beings. Like, I don't think anything we ever do is one at a time. We are natural multitaskers in our feelings and our experiences and our processes and how we perceive things. If you take nothing else from this episode, please hear that ups and downs are normal, that the back and forth emotional states that we move between, often without a clear trigger or reason, they're part of living, and having them means nothing more than you are human. You are not broken for having feelings. You are not wrong for wanting to expand your normal zones. You are not flawed for wanting to express yourself and for not knowing quite why you feel how you feel. And if you're starting to feel like you don't know what to do with those sensations, my advice would be to think about what you're aiming for. So what are you looking to achieve in the next couple of weeks? And it can be as simple as, I really need to clear the washing up from the sink, it's piling up. Or, I said I'd work on that short story and I haven't. Or, I keep promising to have that video call with that friend and I keep backing out of it due to some social anxiety. It doesn't matter what the goal is, how big, how small. think about what the next smallest step you can take would be. So for those 3 examples, wash up a fork. That's all you need to ask yourself to do, is to wash up a single fork. Just get the ball rolling. With the short story, pull up the document or the notepad and commit to writing 10 words. With the video chat, maybe turn on your camera just on your own laptop or phone or whatever and look at yourself in it so you get used to seeing yourself on screen. Like, the smallest steps all count, they all add up, and that is how we grow that courage muscle. That is how we remind ourselves of what we're truly capable of, because we as humans are here to be capable. We are here to do everything and anything that we are pulled to do, and we can. Like, human beings are so flippin' capable. I can't even begin to express that on a biological, psychological, spiritual level, that it's in our DNA to manage situations, but it's also okay to not know what they are and to feel out of control and overwhelmed and frustrated. And there's nothing wrong with you for having those feelings. It came out a little bit more rambly than perhaps I planned, but it's where I'm at the moment, and as long as it helps, then I don't really care how silly it sounds. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I hope you and your loved ones are all safe and well, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and as always, you can find out more at RootedReinvention.com. Take care, remember you are more capable than you often realise, and I'll see you next time. Bye.